Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It is May 4th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And we started off with a really strong sell-off to the downside, and we rallied. We've been rallying back since then. We bottomed out around 10:50, a little bit before 11 o'clock a.m. my time, which is Central Standard Time, and then we've been rallying ever since. There was a gap on the daily chart, so to meet that target, we got to fill the gap, we got to trade up to 41.67 and a quarter. So whether or not we'll make that before the close, there's only a few minutes left before 3:15. I always forget what time the market closes now. I think it closes at 3:30 and then opens. I can't remember. I think it closes at 3:15, reopens at 3:30, trades to 4:30 or something like that, and or maybe 4 and then closes till 5. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous the way they jump it around in there. It actually opens back at 4. It looks like, yeah, because I have the close and open set right there. So I think what it does is it closes at 3:15, momentarily opens back up at 3:30, trades till 4, and then closes and opens back up at 5. I think that's what it does. Or maybe it's 4 o'clock. Maybe I'm thinking of Eastern time. I'm not sure. But you'd have to look it up. It's confusing as heck. I don't know why it has to be that confusing, but I don't trade anywhere near that time, so I don't really pay that much attention to it. I do know that used to brokers would kick you out around 3 o'clock, maybe a few minutes still. I'm sure they probably still do that because you can't carry a trade into the close on day trader status margins. So if you're trading with a day trading futures, which you should be to get your best rates and your best commissions and best margins, then they're going to kick you out most likely. So they're not going to let you carry it in because they'd have to raise your margin. So most of them will simply close your trade out. So if you have to go to regular margin, you got to have about 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 times your regular per contract commission to carry it overnight. So it's a little bit difficult to do. So most of them will just kick you out. But anyway, you can clearly see the two-tiered down channel. We had a break, moved to a new low, and then we reversed, and we're still trading hour. We haven't reached the opening. This is where we open. The yellow line is our open for today, and then so to meet the measured move, we got to surpass that. So I don't think we're going to get it in this today's session. We'll just have to see. But let's back out. We'll go through the trades. Plenty of trade, lots of trades you can see up until around 11, and then not much going on after that, and you can see that. So it's been that way. It's kind of been the MO lately. Is that the afternoon it kind of, and you can see all the volume early on compared to what we had later. Seems like it tends to pick up after 2 o'clock for some reason too, but I just don't recommend trading after 2 o'clock. So I don't even show any trades after that point because I just think it's too risky to enter after 2 o'clock. Not just because the price action actually works still. If you watch it, still valid, still works. But if you have a loser up here this time, in my opinion, the price action is much more stable and easier to read early on. And then after 2 o'clock, it even though the price action still works just the same as always, it's not as stable. The trades become there's a little bit more fake outs. And and the main thing is you don't have enough room or time to make up a loser. So if you have a loser after 2 o'clock, you're toast. You're not going to make it up. You're going to end up probably with a losing day unless you had a really big day prior to that. So I just don't recommend coming in and trading after 2 o'clock. But anyway, let's zoom out here and look at the trades. 7 o'clock actually came right in here. This was a few minutes before 7. I went in and marked it. But really, generally, I usually won't mark anything prior to 7. But if you were sitting there and saw this setup, notice the big move down. You get a break, first entry short, second entry short, big bearish bar. We're probably going to retest that low At that point, we didn't have a whole lot of price action, so we're probably going to make another leg down at a minimum. You'd probably want to measure that leg too, even though I didn't show it measured here. And that's going to be your target right here. You just drag that across, and you can see we did bounce right there. We continued lower though. There's a bigger channel here. At this point, you don't know that though. So, but anyway, second entry short, nice bearish signal bar. We're going to retest this low, and you can see we did. We really had a couple of legs down and then reversed. So I like going short right there if you're trading. But after 7 o'clock, you get a lower high right here, and you could actually count this as a double bottom. So first entry, second entry. So you could look at that as the second entry or a lower high, either one. And I like going short there too. Both of them give you a nice quick move down. Then we bounce down here. Kind of go sideways before we shoot up back to the trend line. Unfortunately, no setup up here. But if you're just patient, a few minutes later, and this one's a little iffy. Notice that is a new swing high, so you try to go higher once, twice, and you can see that trend line. That confirms that trend line easily, and that's a fairly bearish bar. It is a little bit congestive, but you can clearly see that trend line, and it's going to overpower that EMA if this is a valid trend. So you may take that trade. It's a second entry short. It's a triple test. It's a nice signal bar. It's fairly low risk. There's only 7 ticks there. I like going short there. But to be safe, wait and see if you get a lower high, because this may pull back and test the breakout, which it does. But again, you can see the trend line overpowers everything. But that's technically comes back and does retest that breakout there. If you draw your line across there, you can clearly see that. This actually would have been a little lower. And so that does come back and give you a retest as well of the breakout area. And it breaks higher, turns down, gives you a nice bearish bar. I like going short there. And if you catch that one trade, that may be all you need, because you do get a runner there, and you can ride this all the way down. And as long as it stays inside that yellow channel, you'd probably want to stay with it. And then we find some support and start going sideways. No reason to go long here at all, and there's no short setups, so not much you can do. Continues to work lower. I don't see any reason to go short down here at the very low of the day. If you're just patient, a few minutes later, you get a first entry, second entry. So that's a second entry short right there. We've tried to go higher multiple times, just can't do it. Generally, I'd want to wait on this to come back. Actually, if you draw your little short-term micro channel right there, you can see it plays out. You get your break and new high too. So there's enough reason to take that. When you get a lower high here, but you got 3 bars stacked up, you got support right there. That's congestion. So better to wait. And again, you don't want to go long yet, even though you get a triple test down here, maybe even a quadruple. That's really tempting, but I wouldn't take a long in this strong downtrend. Just wait for it to come back to the key entry point and reset and look for a short. And it does just that. It comes back. You get a lower high here, not a very good setup, and then you get this little break higher that gives you a failed second entry long. It actually broke lower first and then turned up. This is a trade that I recorded and posted it here as well. So if you haven't seen that trade, that live trade example, you can watch it. And but this is a failed second entry long. I like going short right there. You know you're probably going to retest these lows. And at this point, the channel's still valid. So I like this setup. It is a little congested, but that trap's probably going to be good enough to get a scalp out of it. And if you saw the trade, it took like 3 seconds. It took less than 5 seconds, and I was out. I couldn't even put my stop in the right place, 1 tick above this bar, because I was out that quick. And then I couldn't move my stop from break even. I wanted to move it to break even +1 because there wasn't a lot of room down here in case it did what it did, bounces. And I couldn't even move that. It moved too quick and stopped me out. So, I mean, the whole trade lasted maybe 5 or 10 seconds, but the initial scalp lasted maybe 2 or 3 seconds. So it was just really quick. And I did want to make a comment. Somebody, normally I don't read or answer the YouTube questions anymore. If you hadn't heard me say that in a while, I just got tired of dealing with all the drama, and I just don't have time. And so if you got something you want to say to me that's important, you're probably better off to send it to email me, because I don't read the comments. But I just happened to see a comment come across on the live trade. Somebody said that I was playing replay or something like that. But I get a kick out of people that I get a kick out of haters that just because they can't take a trade or read a chart, they think nobody can and nobody can make money. And I always get a kick out of that. But you can look at my chart. You can see right here. I post the date and the time, and I don't know. The only way that I know you could change that would be maybe you could change your computer time. But if anybody thinks I'm going to go to all that trouble to demonstrate a trade, you got a lot of trouble yourself. So, but anyway, I appreciate the comments. But for all you haters that want to post stuff like that, that's the reason I don't even fool with comments anymore. Most of the comments are positive, and we don't get a whole lot of that anymore. But there's always haters out there and people that can't trade and they think nobody else can trade. And but yeah, I'm not going to go to the trouble to try to scam somebody with a replay and try to claim it as a live trade or something like that. So anyway, the trade's there. You can see the time and date and to verify it with. And anyway, so I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought that was an interesting comment. But it was a failed second entry long. I love that trade because you get instant feedback. It's usually quick and dirty. And like I said, that trade lasted maybe 3 seconds, and I was out with a profit. Unfortunately, I couldn't even move my stop to BE +1, so I broke even on those. And so I only think I only made $676 after commission, something like that, a little under $700. But still, for 3 seconds of work, not bad. So anyway, we bounced down here again. You can see this trend line's working up. We do get a couple of closes outside here. Maybe this is a little lower. I don't know. That's not a convincing close, but it does work to a new high, and we never make another high. So I'm guessing this was good enough, and then we start down again. But you don't want to go long here because we haven't made a new low after breaking. We had a little bit of a close here outside. Again, that's not convincing. On a downtrend that's that strong, prices are going to make a retest of the low. You can almost guarantee that. Again, nothing ever is 100% in trading, but there's a very high likelihood that that's going to happen. And you can see these two legs down, the measured move. I would go ahead and measure this leg as well. And then we started back down from right there. And you can see we didn't quite get a measured leg. We came up a little bit short, but we had a break and more than a couple of legs down to a new low there. So, but that's what you want to look for, that measured leg down. But anyway, we work up, we get a break outside, a new high, and you get a second entry short right there, right off the upper side. Plenty of room back to the EMA. Plus there's a little congestion. It's probably going to come back and tag that even if we're going to go higher. But you can clearly see this channel working up. And we do have a break and a new high. We've got a break of this one and a new high. And and there's plenty of room back to the EMA. So I like going short here. There's a hidden second entry in there as well. Even if you want to call that a double bottom, leg up, correction, leg up, and then boom. There's a lower high here. You could probably argue to take that trade. It's very tempting, and it would have worked rather quickly too, because this shot down real quick before it came back, and it would have been similar to this trade. You would have been out real quick, including your runner if you tried to get one. But it's a little bit congestive. It's right into the EMA, it's right into the midline, and it's back to the little congestion area. So I'm a little afraid of that one. We do get a failed second entry long here later, and again, same thing. We're back to the lows of this little, and you can see we're trading inside that. So I'm a little leery of going short right there. It does run down, comes back. You get a second entry short up here, but not a very good signal bar, unfortunately. You could use this as a signal bar. This one's not good enough. They got matching eyes, but this one's too big right into the EMA, and you see what happens. It bounces. And this looks almost like a repeat pattern. So you might have taken that trade. This one I'm more apt to mark it as green because it looks just like this. And then you get the failed second entry long. So I like going short there. And again, that's a quick move. And then boom, you get a second entry short here. This has got a huge signal bar. There's what? 16 ticks in that. So that's a 18 tick signal bar, 18 tick stop. That's really big, but it meets our criteria. And if you took it, it works. It's a second entry short. A few minutes later, we get a first entry long, second entry long. There's a lower high right here, but we've already had a break of this in a new low, and we couldn't make a second leg up. So I'm a little leery of that one. If you took it, I would say it's aggressive. I think you need to wait. You get the lower high here, and this is actually a second entry. Notice the new low, and you go short. That's a first entry. Then it breaks higher first and then turns down. So that's a second entry short right there. So I like that one. Plenty of room down to here. And then a few minutes later, you get a failed second entry long. That's a pretty big move for a failure. So this looks more like we're transitioning to sideways action, but it does confirm that trend line too. So, and there's a hidden second entry in there. There's a lot of reasons to like that trade. So if you took it, I at least went ahead and made it green. If you took it, it's a really good trade because it probably trapped a lot of longs there thinking they would found, because notice you have the break and more than two legs down to a new low here on the main downtrend. So that's enough for this to end. So there's probably people bottom fishing here, and that trapped them, and look at it go. There's a lower high here, but you're going short right into a double bottom. You can't do that. And then this is just all really uncertain. You can see that trend line. It looks like a channel here. Maybe it's further down here in the end. I originally had it up here. And so I don't see any entries in here I like either. You can't be bottom fishing. There was a first entry here, and there's even a second entry here, but you can't go short right into all that support because this is what happens. And that's what happened. They just trapped everybody at the short side. You notice that broke lower and turned up. I guarantee you there's some people that might have considered long there. And if you took it, it works, and I can see why you would like it. It's very aggressive, though. I think it's too early because you can see we end up getting a whole nother, because notice we got this little spike down in a two-tiered channel. So this thing could, we were probably at least going to make a new low here after this break. So it's just too early to be looking for a long. You got to be really careful. But notice the trend up, the break, the new high. You could consider going short there. That is a second entry short. You could basically look at this as a double bottom, first entry, second entry, but wait on a lower high just to be safe here. Comes right there, and then you get a failed second entry long, and that's a perfect reversal type. It's going to trap some longs. I like going short there, and off it goes again. I don't see any more shorts down through there. You're getting too far away from the EMA. They're all just first entries. And then finally we make that new low. We don't quite have that measured move yet, but it bounces out of here. Unfortunately, you don't get a reversal set up here. You get a failed second entry short, but you're too far away from the EMA. It is right off that trend line, so there's some reasons to consider that, but I think it's just too far away from the EMA. We run up, we're working sideways, and we see this pattern a few times here. Notice that you get that, you break out. This is almost just like the trade example I took. It's like a repeat pattern. You get that quick failed second entry long that fails and turns down, and quick easy move, and it doesn't go very far. And then you're making the next leg up. Again, you get a reversal here, but not a very good one. You might have taken this one because it does break lower and turn and go out the other side. Only problem is we got all that resistance there, and it's not very, you don't have much room. So I can't justify marking it. Here's that, we get the trend working up, we get the break, a new high, lower high, and it's almost that repeat again. This one's a little different because the repeat doesn't happen until way down here, and it's too, it's too congestive. It just doesn't set up. It's still a repeat pattern similar to this one and this one and the one I demonstrated over here, but with all this sideways stuff and this already having a break and a new low. But again, I don't think you want to go long yet. We're all below the EMA. But finally, you get a first entry, second entry, and I like that one because we break. There's a little congestion here. I don't have my lines. Let me make sure I put my lines on here just to make sure you're seeing it right. You can see that congestion right across there, and we break out, and we finally come back and test it, and then we try to go short again, and that's a failed second entry short. And you can clearly see this channel. There's plenty of room back up. I like that one. That's going to trap some people. I think it actually broke higher first and came back. So you'd have to wait for this to close and then go long. And then again, there we are working down. We bounce off this low. And then finally you get a higher low right here. That's really congestive. And I don't know if this one broke higher or lower first. I'm not sure. I think it broke lower, went back up, and then closed back in here. So it would just about have to close lower or break lower first and then go out the upside before I'd want to trade that. And then even then, I'd probably wait on that to close and put my buy stop one tick above it. So if you do that, then the signal bar doesn't qualify. So really, the only way you could enter this one was if it broke lower and you entered it on an engulfing bar. And that would be tempting there, because you can clearly see the channel and the trend line working up, and we just came off of it, and this is a higher low. It's probably going to trap some shorts, and you can see how it rockets up real quick. And that took us into 2 o'clock. I don't see anything else up there. So again, really strong downtrend until we bottomed out here around 11 o'clock or so, and we spiked up, went into this channel. And it's still a lot of sideways action here. This was not a, it had some strong moves up at times, but this is not a strong trend up. So it's a little bit of an odd spiking channel. So anyway, that's what I saw today. We're already over 22 minutes, so I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to wrap this one up. Just a reminder, in case you haven't heard yet, we have released our second entry indicator. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in that. It is available on the website. I keep getting a lot of questions about people can't find it, so I'll put a link in the description, and if you haven't seen it yet, go take a look at it. I'll probably put up a video just kind of demoing it and going through some of the features and things like that, and that way more people get a chance to kind of look at it in operation. But I'll probably mention it for the next couple of days till everybody gets a chance to see that it's available. But I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.